today's upload. My name's Stacey, I am a mess in a dress, and today marks the start of my new series where I will be reviewing all of the Disney Dining Reservations that we enjoyed on our recent trip to Disney World, Florida. Okay, so I might be stretching the use of the word recent just a little because we actually visited Disney World in March 2022, which as I film this is almost a year away. I cannot believe it. It feels like simultaneously yesterday and about 10 years ago, so time has no meaning anymore. If you haven't already seen them, we have done a complete series of vlogs of our days there, showing all of our adventures through all the parks and including some footage from all of these different reservations. But what I really wanted to do was break the reservations down for you and just give you a little bit more information about each one, give you a little review and tell you whether I think it's worth you booking the same if you're going on a trip anytime soon. So obviously when we visited in March 2022, we were still under some restrictions from the COVID-19 pandemic. So the situation back then may be a little bit different to if you are visiting recently. And obviously, as with everything in the world, Disney changes its policies, its experiences, its menus on an almost daily basis. So this is really more intended as a bit of a guide and a general chit chat about our experiences rather than in-depth rundown of what you might actually get if you visit today. But hopefully this series will answer a few of the questions that you may have, and it also may help you decide which reservations you want to book on your upcoming trip. So there are 5 reservations that I'm going to be talking about during this series. They are Cinderella's Royal Table, BI Guest Restaurant, Ohana at the Polynesian Resort, Ogre's Cantina in Hollywood Studios, and the Grand Floridian Cafe at the Grand Floridian Hotel. So today's video is going to be all about Cinderella's Royal Table, as you may have seen from the description, so let's get stuck in. So if you didn't already know, Cinderella's Royal Table is a fine dining signature experience in the Magic Kingdom. So it's worth mentioning that you do need a reservation or a park ticket or whatever the current system is to get into the Magic Kingdom if you want to visit Cinderella's Royal Table. Please do not book this reservation and then walk up to the front door and expect to get in if you don't have a park ticket, because you're going to be disappointed. Cinderella's Royal Table is arguably one of the most popular restaurants in Disney World. That's probably due to the main unique selling point of the restaurant, which is that it is situated inside Cinderella Castle. Yeah, the big castle. You go in it and that's where you'll eat. So when I was booking our trip way back at the beginning of 2022, you could book dining reservations up to 60 days in advance if you were a non-resort guest, which we were not staying on property, we were in a villa outside. So 60 days before, I was there on my laptop at exactly the moment that the reservations opened to try and get this hot ticket reservation, and I couldn't get one. I mean, literally within seconds of me logging in and getting onto the page, all of the reservations for the day that I was trying to book were gone. And from what I've read on various forums and various web pages, this is very, very common. This is a difficult reservation to get. My advice to you is keep trying. So I actually signed up for an online website called Mouse Watcher, where I think I paid $19 for the whole time before we were going to the holiday, where they would notify me if any reservations became available at the times that I'd specified. So I picked the days that I knew we were going to be in Magic Kingdom and I asked them to send me alerts, which kind of worked in that I did get plenty of alerts telling me that these reservations had become available. However, by the time I'd got to my computer and logged in and got to the page, they were usually gone. So I'm not saying it was $19 completely wasted, but in the end, I didn't need it. So the way I actually got my reservation was I just kept logging in, like every single day at the time that the reservations opened. I think it's 5:45 Florida time, but obviously that's different depending on where you are in the world. For us, it was about 11:15 most mornings. Every single day I would log on and I would go back through each of the days that I was looking for, and I would just check, and I would look at breakfast, I would look at lunch, and I would look at dinner, because at this point I was not being picky, I just wanted to get into that restaurant. And then also throughout the day, if I wasn't doing anything, if I was on my break from work, if I was just sat in front of the telly, I would just have a quick log on again and just have a quick look to see if any reservations had become available. And jackpot, I actually did find a lunch reservation for our first full day in the Magic Kingdom. Now it's important to say at this point as well that at this stage only 3 of us were going to this reservation. We were a party of 14. If all of us wanted to go, I think this would have been nigh on impossible to get this reservation. Luckily, as it was just me and the girls going, it was a bit easier. And I did also, over the course of the next few weeks, find a few other reservations. Like we could have gone for breakfast one day, we could have gone for dinner a different day, but in the end I thought this particular reservation that I'd secured was perfectly suitable and I was going to stick with it. So what I really love about Disney World at the moment is everything is done through your app. So on the day of our reservation, we turned up to Cinderella's Royal Table, which is underneath Cinderella's castle in Fantasyland, just outside Sir Mickey's shop, if you know what I mean. I logged onto the Disney app, checked in electronically, and then a cast member called us over when it was time to go through to our reservation. So I suppose, first and foremost, most importantly, let's talk about the food. So I'd heard really mixed reviews about the food at Cinderella's Royal Table. Some people had said that it is not signature dining as they would have expected. It's not like the best quality fine food you would expect. So my expectations were pretty low in terms of the food, but basically it is a fixed price menu, a set menu. You get the adults menu or the children's menu, and you each pick 3 courses from a set menu. The children's menu is from 0 to 9 years, so Poppy could have children's menu, but Freya had to have the adult menu. And our waitress very, very kindly did say that Freya could choose anything from the children's menu as well if there was nothing that she liked on the adult's menu. But I get the feeling we would have still been charged for the adult menu. And Freya luckily was in a very adventurous sort of try anything phase, so she was more than happy to pick from the adult menu. So let's have a look at the choices. Now, obviously, the menu will change from time to time. So the menu that I'm about to read may not be exactly what you get if you turn up today or tomorrow or in a month's time, and it's also slightly different to what we had, but luckily all the things that we chose are here, so I can talk you through the options that we picked and what we thought of them. So on the current adults menu, for the appetizers you can pick from 4 options. There is the soup of the day, the charcuterie board, steamed mussels, which I don't think was on there when I went, but I wouldn't have picked it anyway, and a castle salad. So I went for the charcuterie board, which was a chef's selection of cured meats, castle pickles and accompaniments, and I can tell you now it was delicious. I'm a big fan of a charcuterie board, but the pate thing I wasn't sure I was going to like. It was delicious, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was very light. It wasn't a heavy starter, it was just a gentle ease into the meal, which I think is what you really need when you're going to eat 3 courses. And obviously in Disney parks you do tend to snack a lot along the day, so it was the perfect portion size for me. Freya chose the castle salad. She was in proper salad era on this holiday. She tried so many different kinds of salad. That came with romaine lettuce, Brussels sprouts, citrus and fennel with passion fruit vinaigrette. I don't know if that is exactly the same salad that she had when she was there, but I do remember her really enjoying it. She said it was very tasty. The waitress was very surprised as she didn't think she would finish it all, so Freya was really pleased to show her that she actually does like her salad. So the main courses for the adults menu are currently the Magic Carpet Ride, which is a pork tenderloin dish, tenderloin of beef, When Will My Life Begin chicken and pasta dish, chickpea panisse, and a sustainable fish dish, which ain't even trying to pronounce that. So I chose the tenderloin of beef, which was a grilled beef tenderloin, whipped potatoes, seasonal vegetables and sauce bordelaise. And I can tell you now, this is by far the most delicious thing I ate in my entire time at Disney World. It was absolutely divine. Again, not the biggest portion size, which I think is quite surprising when you're in America because you get used to eating some pretty big portions. But it was quite delicate, but really tasty. I could have eaten 3 of these. I enjoyed it so much, and seriously would possibly be enough to get me to go back all on its own. It was gorgeous. Freya tried the When Will My Life Begin chicken and pasta, which was a 50th anniversary special, so I don't know if it will be there for much longer as I know the anniversary is about to come to an end. But this was tangled pasta with braised chicken, forest and moss flowers and pine nut pesto served in a frying pan. And as you can see, it is literally in a frying pan with edible flowers, very Rapunzel themed. Bit weird having a Rapunzel themed dish in a Cinderella themed restaurant, but Freya absolutely loved this. This is one of the highlights of her eating in Disney World. She still talks about it to this day, and it was really fun and exciting to look at and also tasty. So then for the desserts, there were 3 choices. There was the Jack and Gus cheesecake, the Clock Strikes 12 mousse, and coffee pot de creme. So I chose the Clock Strikes 12 dark chocolate mousse. Now I'm not a big dark chocolate fan, if I'm being honest. This was sort of like the best of a bad bunch for me. None of these desserts were particularly things that I would choose on an average day. I don't really like dark chocolate, so it was a little bit rich for me and I couldn't finish it all. Having said that, it was really tasty. It has a caramel and a crunchy praline centre, and it also comes with chocolate sauce and hazelnut gelato, which were both really delicious. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just couldn't finish it all. I do think it's the sort of thing that my husband would have absolutely loved if he was there because he loves dark chocolate, he loves rich desserts. This would have been right up his street. I could have used him being there to finish it for me. And Freya chose the Jack and Gus cheesecake with seasonal flavours and garnishes. As far as I could tell from looking at it, it was just pretty standard cheesecake. She really enjoyed it because that's right up her alley, but I think it was a very sort of straightforward, simple dessert, but also quite a nice way to finish off the meal. So over on the kids menu, for appetizers, they could choose sliced apples, cheddar cheese and grapes, or a garden salad. Now, Poppy chose the sliced apples, but due to a slight mix-up, the waitress actually brought out the cheddar cheese and grapes. Now, Poppy wouldn't have had an issue with this, except for the fact that the cheese was a mixture of white cheese and red cheese, and yes, we are that fussy in our house that she liked the white cheese, but she wouldn't eat the red cheese. I did explain to the waitress that obviously there'd been a bit of a mix-up, and she really kindly brought us out a little pot of sliced apple as well, so Poppy got 2 starters, and we helped her finish off the red cheese and grapes, which was lovely because who doesn't like cheese? It's also the same, there was no argument from the waitress, there was no sort of ifs, buts or maybes, it was just she went and immediately got the extra dish and that was it. No fuss, no hassle. So I have an incredibly picky eater in Poppy. There is only a couple of things she really likes, and going into this holiday and going into these expensive reservations, I knew this was possibly going to be an issue, so I kind of braced myself for her not eating a lot and then said to her, look, just eat whatever you want, and if I have to buy you something when we get outside, I will do, but I really just want you to experience this place. So the options for the kids were seared fish of the day, beef tenderloin, chicken nuggets, or macaroni and cheese. And with each dish, you could pick 2 from their selections menu, which were seasonal vegetables, rice, pilaf, mashed potatoes, or buttered corn. So Poppy chose to have the chicken nuggets. So this will be a bit of a theme for Poppy during this holiday. She ate more chicken in various forms than I think anyone human has ever eaten in a 2-week period, but she got very quickly to learn where the best chicken tenders were in Disney World, so if you do want a chicken tender rundown, Poppy can do that for you. She also chose the seasonal vegetables, which I don't think she was particularly impressed with because I'm pretty sure it was green beans, and mashed potatoes, which she also didn't really rate. I think she said it tasted like paper, which is a bit random. She did really like the chicken though, so that got a big thumbs up. For desserts, the kids could pick the Sword in the Sweet, which is a cookies and cream cheesecake with a cookie crumble, build your own cupcake, yogurt parfait, or seasonal sorbet. Poppy chose the build your own cupcake because it's craft and cupcakes. Like, is that not just the best thing ever? She had a great time. It came out in a little dish. I think she actually got 2 cupcakes, and she basically just sat there and it had got icing and sprinkles and toppings, and she could make up this cupcake and then eat it. She was in her element. It was like the best part of the day for her. In terms of beverages, you got a soft drink free with the meal. So I think I had a Coke, Freya had a lemonade, Poppy had an orange juice. There are alcoholic beverages and sort of special beverages on the menu which you can pick. They do come at an extra cost, and I didn't bother on this particular day. Although looking at the menu, there are a couple of champagne and mimosa flights that I really wish I tried because they look really special. There's always next time. So overall with the food, I think we're all really, really happy. It was as elaborate as it needed to be. I think it didn't need to be too fussy. This is obviously still a restaurant that's going to cater to a lot of kids, a lot of people who have different eating habits. This isn't somewhere you go if you want a super exotic Michelin starred meal. This is just somewhere you go to have a nice meal in an exciting environment. So food wise, really couldn't complain. So let's talk about the experience overall. So obviously, number 1, you're inside the castle. There is nothing quite like it if you're a Disney fan like me, stepping underneath the big archways of the castle and going through the doors and actually being led into the body of the castle itself. It's something that I never ever thought I would get to experience, and I don't know if this restaurant even existed when we last visited, but this wouldn't have even been on my radar, so for me this was an absolute highlight. As you enter, you go up a sweeping staircase and you're taken into this grand restaurant. It's got coats of arms and flags and chandeliers, and it's very beautiful and very just attractive to look at. It's a nice space. It is obviously busy. There's a lot of tables, there are a lot of people. It didn't feel crowded. I didn't feel like I was sat on top of the people next to me, which is always an issue with me in restaurants. I don't like to feel like I'm too close to neighbouring diners. And then out of these beautiful big arch windows, you got this view of Fantasyland, and you could see the rides, and the Beast Castle was in the distance, and it was just special. I don't know if you can book there during fireworks time. If you can, I imagine that's pretty special. So one of the main draws of Cinderella's castle in years gone by was that it had character dining. The princesses would come to the dining hall and they would walk round and they would meet you, and it would be a variety, so you never quite knew who you were going to see. It would be Cinderella with maybe Ariel, maybe Sleeping Beauty, maybe Snow White, whatever. Obviously, with the COVID restrictions as they were, we didn't get the full dining character experience, which was a shame. And you know, I am obviously gutted, but we made the best of a bad situation. You did still get to meet Cinderella as you came through the doors initially into the bottom of the castle. Cinderella was standing there waiting for you to greet you. You could go up to her. She was behind a rope because of COVID, blah, blah, blah. But the kids could have a chat with her. They got to take a photograph and she sort of welcomed them to the castle and said, I hope you enjoy your day, blah, 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 blah. And then we were led upstairs to our table. So we still did get to meet Cinderella. It just wasn't quite the same as having all the princesses come round. Having said that, I do think the price was a little bit less than it was normally during full character dining. So I suppose in that respect, we won. When we were sat down at the table, there were some things waiting for us there. There was a kind of Cinderella postcard which had her autograph on it, because obviously we weren't still able to get autographs signed, another thing that really made me sad. But we did still at least get a little souvenir to take away. There was also on the table this wishing star, which we all joked about because we didn't know what it was or what its purpose was. And at regular intervals throughout the meal, it only happened once during our stay, so they must space them quite apart. A little sort of ceremony would play with a voice coming over the tannoy and music just telling you to hold it really tight, close your eyes and make a wish. And Freya was laughing because she said it was a bit of a sort of anticlimactic moment, and if you blinked and were having a good chat with a big party of people, you might miss the whole thing entirely. But it was really cute, and you do get to keep the little star when you come out, so that was really just a nice little touch. It is worth saying that from the 28th of February, the full character dining experience will be returning, so if you are going after that point, you will probably meet more princesses. You will probably also pay more, as I imagine the prices will hop back up again once the princesses are reintroduced, so just be warned. So the wait staff, as you would expect, are really lovely, really friendly, really welcoming, and we had two main servers, one who led us to our table and sort of got us all settled, and then the lady eventually came and served us our food and took our orders, and both were really lovely and really welcoming. They made a big fuss over the girls, they had a good chat. It's just the exact kind of Disney atmosphere that you're expecting, and we really liked it. I actually left a little online comment, what do they call them? It's something like compliment your staff member or something through the app, and I actually did that for our waitress because she was so lovely. So yeah, exactly what I'd expect. No surprises there really. And as we left, the kids were both given an option to pick a souvenir. They could either have a wand that said Cinderella's Royal Table or a sword. Poppy chose a sword, Freya chose the wand, and then they let me pick one too. So I got my own little wand as well. It is just like a little plasticky wand. It does say Cinderella's Royal Table on it there. And I thought it was just a nice little cute touch. It's something I look at it now and it makes me smile, and it makes me remember a really special time with my kids in Disney World. So possibly most importantly, what was the cost? So the cost as it currently stands on the Disney website is $67 per adult and $39 per child plus tax and gratuity. I'm pretty sure it was slightly cheaper when we went. I think it was about $62 and maybe $35 for kids. I can't remember. If you are from the UK and if tax and gratuity is not something you're used to, then please make sure you bear that in mind. I tried to set up my budget spreadsheet, yes I had a spreadsheet obviously, to add on a certain percentage to every meal that I booked, because it's going to be more expensive than you think it is based just on the ticket price alone. And as someone from the UK who we don't really have that, I mean we have tips and service charges, but we definitely don't have taxes added on at the end. That can be a bit of a shock when you get the bill. However, that sort of segues nicely into my next point, which is Cinderella's Royal Table is the only dining reservation that I've found anyway, where you actually have to pay up front. So when you make the reservation, when you book it initially, right back 60 days before you travel, you have to pay the full amount at that point, not even a deposit, the full amount. And you can cancel, but if you cancel like a day before or any less than a day before, you will lose the full amount. So just bear that in mind when you're booking. Like, in some ways it was quite nice because it meant that when we actually went to have the meal and we sat down and we enjoyed our dinner and then we left, we had nothing to pay. So it felt like a bit of a treat, like we just had this big meal. I had obviously paid 2 months earlier for the whole bill, but it was kind of a nice hassle-free. Obviously if we'd have had drinks or something like that, then it would have all been added on. It was actually quite neat and tidy and I quite liked it. I actually wish I'd possibly done it for a few more things in advance as well. So I did look at my bank statement, and the total cost for the three of us with the tax and the gratuity was $200.45, which equated to £148.62. So yeah, not a cheap meal for three. However, the fact of the matter is, you are having a slightly above average meal. This isn't just fast food, this isn't just burger and chips or chicken nuggets and chips. This is something a little bit fancier. Obviously, a little bit more effort has been put into the food. It's all beautifully presented. It's very, very tasty and delicious, or at least my meals were. And I think if you went to any normal sort of mid-standard restaurant and brought a starter, a main, a dessert, and a drink, you probably wouldn't be far off £50 a person, like maybe 40 to 50, but honestly that's probably not going to be that much of a shocker. If you then add to the fact that one, you're in Disney World, so everything's more expensive in Disney World, and two, you're going into like a special experience, there's going to be characters there are special add-ons that come with it. I think it actually does make sense, the price point. I don't think it seems that extortionate compared to what you're actually booking. I think if you go to most places in the world and you book something which is slightly more specialist than just going and sitting down and having a 3-course meal, you will pay a bit of a premium for that. And at the end of the day, you are in Cinderella's castle, meeting Cinderella, having dinner in this beautiful room, and it's a nice meal. I think obviously you are going to pay over the odds for that. And I didn't feel it was so expensive that I felt like I couldn't justify it to myself. I thought this is a one-off experience. It's sort of once in a lifetime. The kids are never going to get to come to this place again at this age. Let's make the best of it. And we did. So I guess the final question is, was it worth it? And would we book it again? So for me personally, I would book this again in a heartbeat. I don't know if we'll ever go back to Florida, so this may be a moot point for me, but I know that considering the fact that I really enjoyed my meal, I really enjoyed the atmosphere, and I really, really enjoyed the whole experience, yes, I think I probably would book it again. It is expensive. It is absolutely going to be one of the big treat purchases of the holiday. Like, there's no getting around it, but it also was something that was really special. We had this fantastic time, just me and the girls just sat there. It was our first full day in Disney World, so we were still very much not really believing that we were there and this was happening. It was special. It was special, and it's a memory that I know I will never forget. And a large part of that was due to where we were and how magical and how special it felt. It felt like core Disney, and what better way to start your Disney holiday? So for me, absolutely yes, I would definitely book this again. If you're not a huge classic Disney fan, if you're not a princesses fan, if you don't have a little girl who desperately wants to meet Cinderella, if you would rather just go and buy burger and chips and go and queue to see Cinderella later, this might not be for you. Like, this is definitely a special experience that you've got to want to do it, and if you aren't that particularly interested, then I wouldn't go there. I don't think this is something you just do just to see. And also, if you've done it once before and you enjoyed it but you don't really feel the need to go back again, then maybe that was it for you. Maybe it's just like a tick it off and say you've done it kind of experience. But for me, it really was one of my key moments of the holiday, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. So yes. So there you have it. That is my full review of Cinderella's Royal Table. Hopefully I will have answered any questions that I may have had. But if you think of anything that I've missed, please do leave me a comment below. And I'll be back very soon with our next review, which will be of breakfast at the Ohana restaurant in the Polynesian Resort. Aloha!